Are you seriously satisfied with less than 1% of the market share of the Phoenix Valley? Because I am not. I know you're not either. I know who you are. You are people who live for the Lord Jesus Christ. So I'm just going to tell you, sociologically, if we want to change our culture, we don't need less than 1%. We need 10% to change our culture. If you want to transform the culture, you need 20%. Now you do the math. How many campuses will we need to transform our valley for Jesus Christ? It is 250 campuses. Now you might be asking, well, why are we doing them more than us? Why would we take an offering for other churches? Why would we invest in others when there is so much for us to do? I want to answer that question. And the answer is simple. If you know our church's vision, our vision as a church is to reach the entire valley for Jesus Christ so that every man, every woman, every child would have a realistic opportunity to hear about Jesus Christ and follow him as their Lord. What's it going to take for us to get to 250 campuses? What's it going to take for us to fulfill our vision to reach the entire valley for Jesus Christ? You know what it's going to take. Say it out loud with me. More than us. Jesus was the first person to change religion from an outside in to an inside out. Every other religion, and you can name all of them, it's all the same in that to get to be a really good religious person, you get to the center. You make more sacrifices, you follow more rules, you say more prayers, you attend more services, you get to the center. And Jesus said to be a good Christian is not about getting to the center, but it's about going beyond us. So let me lay out two quotes of Jesus. They look contradictory, they are not. Jesus said these about 18 months apart. The first statement that I want you to read comes from Matthew chapter 10 when Jesus is sending out the 12 apostles. They're going out 2 by 2 on their first solo preaching tour. Jesus isn't going with them. And he said, as you go out to preach, do not go among the Gentiles. That's non-Jewish people, like me, like most of you. Or enter into any town of the Samaritans. Samaritans were half Jewish people. So Jesus is saying, go to the Jews. Don't go to those who aren't Jews. Don't even go to those who are half Jews. Go to the Jews. 18 months later, he said, go and make disciples of all nations. That was his last command, and it's our first priority. How did he get from there to here? How do we go from preach only to Jews, sounds very ethnocentric, to now preach to everybody? Listen, it was always Jesus' strategy to go to all people. But he wanted the center of energy to start with Israel, God's chosen people, and then go out to all the world. That was always his plan. To put it in scientific terms, Jesus is centrifugal. Whereas everyone else says get to the center, Jesus is saying go out from the center. Now you probably remember as a child the centrifugal motion of a merry-go-round. You get on a merry-go-round and the faster they spin it, the harder you hold on because centrifugal motion will always throw you further outward. So I brought this little child's toy here, a gyroscope. Maybe you played with one of these before. If you were just to set this gyroscope, what happens if I let go of it? Well, obviously gravity comes in and it falls down. Centrifugal motion actually counterbalances the effect of gravity, and it just broke, so you're not going to see it. It stands on its own without you touching it. As long as the gyroscope is spinning outward, it will stand upward. And what we see in churches that are no longer effective is they begin to wobble around the outside of the stand and eventually fall because they lose their centrifugal focus. And Jesus is calling us to be a centrifugal church. In Luke chapter 12, he said, to whom much has been given, much will be required. Look around you right now. Whatever campus you're on, look around. You have a superlative staff. Our campus pastors, our children's workers, our security team, the volunteers that are in the parking lot and the coffee shop, the greeters along the way. God has blessed us with an incredible group of people. I think you can see that. But he's also blessed us with some incredible resources through your generosity. Now, I know that not everybody gives, but those that do, give in such a way that God can use the resources that you entrust to your church to bring others to know Jesus Christ. And I just want you to, this isn't bragging, it's just a fact. Because of the way we utilize volunteers to do so much of the ministry that God has enabled and empowered you to do, and because of the way we scale, we are one of the best investments of any church. The number of people who get baptized per dollar is very high around here because of God's blessing. Now, here's where it's important for me. To whom much has been given, much will be required. Someday I'm gonna stand before God, and he's gonna ask me personally and ask our church, what did you do with what I gave you? I tremble at the thought of saying to God, oh, I thought you meant that for me. I thought you gave that money to me. No, any gift that God gives you is to be given away. All gifts are to be given away. There is no exception to that. So what we ask you to do, God gives you a gift of a salary. We ask you to tithe. Well, the Bible asks you to tithe. Why? Because that's where the blessing comes from. We do exactly as a church what we ask you to do as individuals. 10% of all the generous gifts you give go to mission work here, near, and far. Some of the missions we support are local. They deal with refugees and women's shelters and literacy programs. Some are regional, some are national and international, but every time we vet a mission organization, we ask, do they have the right vision with the right people in the right place at the right time? If it is true, you've heard me say this, you've heard Ashley say this, if it is true that the local church is the hope of the world, why would we not also invest in local churches that are doing the work that helps us achieve our goal? I love what Ashley said last week. I'm just gonna quote him. We're trying to make it hard to go to hell and easy to get to Jesus. And that's why More Than Us matters.